We all live with a version of ourselves the world never sees, the other me. The one behind closed doors, the one who fights when no one's watching, the one who's afraid but refuses to quit. That me isn't weak. That me isn't quiet. That me is real. And today, it's time to meet them. The other me lives in the shadows. It is the part of you that the world never sees, the version that exists beyond the spotlight, beyond the curated smiles and polished appearances. While most people are focused on presenting themselves in ways that are acceptable, impressive, or safe, the other me is quietly doing the work that really matters. It's the part of you that fights through fear when no one is watching, that gets back up when the world assumes you've fallen for good. This other me is not designed for applause or validation. It exists in the quiet, raw moments of your life where true resilience is born. It is where you discover what you are really made of, beyond what anyone else thinks or expects. The world conditions us to be performative, to show strength only in public, to hide vulnerability because it is uncomfortable for others to witness. But the other me does not live for the eyes of the crowd. It thrives in the shadows because that is where authenticity is unshakable. In those private, unseen moments, the other me endures the doubts, the insecurities, and the internal battles that most people never acknowledge. It is awake at 3 a.m. when anxiety takes over, pacing through possibilities, wrestling with fears, and quietly refusing to give up. It is the version that journals, reflects, and plans while the rest of the world sleeps. This other me is where preparation, discipline, and courage collide, the very foundation of the person who eventually steps into the light. Living in the shadows does not mean living in secrecy. It means cultivating a strength so profound that it does not require recognition. The other me is forged in struggle. Every failure, every rejection, every moment of uncertainty becomes fuel. While the outside world sees the person who has it all together, the other me has already walked through fire and emerged stronger. It understands that growth does not happen in comfort zones or under public approval. It happens in solitude, in persistence, in the unglamorous, painstaking work of becoming. The other me is a reminder that the most important battles are fought internally, and the victories that matter most often go unnoticed by others. The other me also carries an important lesson that self-worth cannot be determined by external validation. The strength, courage, and resilience built in the shadows are not dependent on recognition. You do not need anyone to notice your effort for it to be meaningful. In fact, the quieter, unseen growth is often the most transformative. The other me reminds you that who you are behind closed doors shapes everything you project into the world. It is a private force, yet its impact is profound, affecting decisions, actions, and the way you respond to challenges. Ultimately, the other me exists to remind you that greatness is often invisible at first. The hard work, the resilience, and the courage that define you are built in private long before anyone ever sees the results. By honoring this other me, by recognizing the strength that exists in solitude and struggle, you cultivate a version of yourself that is unshakable, authentic, and unstoppable. The other me lives in the shadows, but it is the true foundation of who you are, the part of you that will rise and shine when the world least expects it. Growth happens in the fire, not in comfort. Too often, we are conditioned to chase safety, to seek stability, and to avoid situations that might challenge us. We are told that comfort is a reward and struggle is something to evade. But the truth is, comfort does not create strength, resilience, or transformation. Growth comes from stepping into the fire, the uncomfortable, uncertain, and often painful moments that push us beyond our limits. The other me, the version of ourselves that the world rarely sees, thrives in these moments. It is tested, stretched, and forged precisely because it does not retreat when life becomes difficult. The fire can take many forms. It can be failure, heartbreak, rejection, loss, or the internal battles of doubt and fear. These experiences are rarely pleasant, and yet they are the crucibles in which our character is shaped. When the other me faces these challenges, It does not run. It does not seek the easy path or wait for reassurance from others. Instead, it leans into the struggle, understanding that every trial carries a lesson, every difficulty holds an opportunity for growth, and every setback is temporary if met with persistence. Growth is not linear. It does not arrive quietly or politely. It is earned in sweat, tears, and sometimes in the silence of solitude. The moments of discomfort reveal our true capabilities. When we are tested, when the pressure is on, when the world seems indifferent to our efforts, that is, when we discover what the other me is capable of. It is in these fires that creativity is sparked, courage is cultivated, and resilience becomes more than just a word. It becomes a lived reality. Comfort can lull us into stagnation, making us believe we are capable, when in truth we are merely existing. But when we step into challenges, when we embrace the fire, we learn what it means to be alive and engaged, to push beyond limits, and to take ownership of our growth. The other me understands that pain is temporary, but the lessons it brings are permanent. It does not seek comfort because it knows that growth requires exposure to uncertainty and risk. While the world often celebrates the outcomes, the victories, promotions, or accolades, the other me values the process, the discipline, the struggle, the late nights, the sacrifices, and the relentless drive to become stronger and better. Growth is not a destination. It is the sum of these daily acts of courage. The fire tests, humbles, and ultimately transforms us into a version of ourselves we would never discover in safety alone. Finally, the fire teaches perspective and gratitude. When we endure challenges, we begin to appreciate our resilience, our capacity to adapt, and the power we hold within ourselves. Comfort, by contrast, can create complacency and blind us to our potential. The other me thrives not in ease, but in adversity, reminding us that struggle is not the enemy. It is the teacher. Growth is forged in discomfort, strengthened in challenge, and revealed when we embrace the fire rather than retreat from it. By leaning into these moments, by facing life's fires head on, we awaken the other me and unlock the strength, courage, and authenticity that define who we truly are. Courage over perfection is a principle that challenges the way most of us approach life. Society constantly tells us that we must look flawless, act flawlessly, and even think flawlessly to be accepted. We are bombarded with images of success, achievement, and perfection, creating a standard that feels both unattainable and exhausting. But perfection is a trap. It paralyzes us, making us afraid to take risks, afraid to fail, and afraid to show our true selves. The other me, the part of us that lives in the shadows and fights when no one is watching, understands that courage is more valuable than perfection. It is not the absence of mistakes that defines us, but the willingness to act, to rise, and to keep moving forward despite fear. Perfection often masquerades as safety. We cling to it because it offers a sense of control. We imagine that if we can be flawless, we will be accepted, loved, and admired. But the other me knows a different. Perfection is an illusion, and chasing it comes at the expense of growth and authenticity. Courage, on the other hand, requires risk. Courage is messy. Courage means speaking the truth even when it's uncomfortable, taking action even when failure is possible, and standing up for what matters even when the world resists. It is the choice to embrace vulnerability rather than hide behind a facade of flawlessness. The other me understands that courage does not always roar. Sometimes courage is quiet. It is showing up when you feel afraid, sending that message, having that difficult conversation, or taking that step toward your goals despite doubt. It is choosing integrity over ease, persistence over procrastination, and authenticity over approval. Perfection is rigid, courage is flexible. Courage allows us to adapt, to learn from mistakes, and to improve. Perfection, in contrast, punishes mistakes, leaving us trapped in fear, hesitation, and self-doubt. The other me chooses to act, knowing that even imperfect action moves us forward, while waiting for perfection keeps us stagnant. Courage over perfection also transforms how we define success. The world measures success by flawless outcomes, accolades, or recognition. but the other me measures it by effort, resilience, and authenticity. Every time we take a bold step, no matter how imperfect, we strengthen our confidence and expand our potential. Every time we face fear rather than retreat, we reinforce the truth that we are capable, worthy, and resilient. Courage teaches us that mistakes are not failures but lessons, and imperfection is not a liability but a sign of being alive and engaged. Finally, courage over perfection allows us to fully embrace our other me, the version of ourselves that fights privately, struggles, and endures, has the wisdom to understand that life's value is in authenticity, risk, and perseverance, not flawless performance. When we prioritize courage over perfection, we step into a life of boldness, freedom, and self-respect. We no longer let fear of judgment or failure control our actions. Instead, we honor the other me by showing up, speaking out, and taking meaningful action every single day. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is acting despite it. Choosing courage over perfection unlocks our potential and allows the other me to shine, unstoppable and unapologetically real. Your hidden strength defines you. It is the part of yourself that few people see, the other me that exists behind closed doors, quietly enduring and persevering when the world assumes you've given up. Life is full of challenges, disappointments, and moments that test our resilience, and it is in those private battles that true strength is forged. The hidden strength you cultivate when no one is watching is far more significant than any recognition or praise you might receive in public. It defines your character, shapes your choices, and ultimately determines how you respond to every obstacle that comes your way. Most people focus on outward appearances, on showing the world that they have it all together. They want to appear strong, successful, and flawless, but these external images often mask the real work happening inside. Your hidden strength is not about perfection. It is about endurance, discipline, and the courage to keep going even when the path is unclear. It is revealed in the quiet moments, the hours spent working without applause, the resilience shown after failure, the self-discipline practiced when no one is looking. This hidden strength is what allows you to rise repeatedly, even after life knocks you down, and it is what ultimately sets you apart from those who only perform for recognition. The other me, the version of yourself that lives in the shadows, knows the value of this strength. It has faced doubt, fear, and uncertainty, and yet it persists. It understands that the world will not always acknowledge your effort, but that acknowledgement is unnecessary when your power comes from within. Hidden strength does not require validation. It thrives on persistence, determination, and self-belief. It is built by consistently showing up, doing the work, and refusing to quit, even when success seems distant or impossible. The other me understands that every challenge overcome, every discomfort faced, and every obstacle navigated adds to the reservoir of strength that defines who you truly are. Hidden strength also teaches perspective. When you rely on your inner resilience rather than external approval, you begin to see challenges as opportunities rather than setbacks. You start to recognize that the moments of struggle are the very experiences that shape you into a stronger, wiser, and more capable individual. This strength allows you to act with confidence and integrity, making decisions based on your values rather than on what others expect of you. It is not loud or showy. It does not demand attention. Instead, it quietly empowers you to lead, to create, and to live authentically. Ultimately, hidden strength is the foundation of the other me. It defines who you are when no one is watching, what you do when there is no applause, and how you rise when everything seems lost. The world may try to label you, limit you, or judge you, but hidden strength allows you to move forward with clarity, courage, and confidence. By honoring and embracing this inner power, you recognize that true strength is not measured by visibility or recognition, but by resilience, persistence, and the unwavering belief in your ability to overcome. Your hidden strength is not just a part of you. It is the core of who you are, shaping your destiny and proving that the other me is unstoppable, Unleash the Other Me. This keynote is about embracing the part of yourself that is often hidden, overlooked, or underestimated. The version that fights, endures, and perseveres when no one else is watching. Most people spend their lives performing for recognition, approval, or acceptance. They measure success by how others perceive them, by the accolades they receive, or by the appearance of control and perfection. But the other me understands a deeper truth. The most powerful force in your life does not come from external validation. It comes from the courage, resilience, and authenticity you cultivate within. Unleashing this version of yourself requires acknowledging your potential and acting on it, even when fear, doubt, or uncertainty is present. The other me is built in private, in moments that often go unnoticed. It is the early mornings and late nights, the relentless practice, the hard decisions, and the sacrifices that no one sees. It is the version of you that pushes through discomfort, continues after failure, and refuses to settle for mediocrity. While the world may reward those who perform for visibility, the other me thrives in the unseen, knowing that true power is forged in perseverance and consistency. This me does not wait for permission. It does not seek approval, and it does not shrink in the face of challenge. It acts decisively, fueled by a vision of who you can become and a commitment to show up fully every single day. Unleashing the other me also requires courage. Courage is not the absence of fear, but the willingness to act despite it. The other me understands that vulnerability and risk are necessary components of growth. It steps into situations where the outcome is uncertain, speaks truth even when it is uncomfortable, and makes decisions that align with personal integrity rather than external expectation. This courage allows the other me to break free from self-imposed limitations and societal pressures, opening the door to opportunities and experiences that would otherwise remain inaccessible. It is through these acts of bravery that hidden potential is realized and true transformation occurs. Furthermore, unleashing the other me is about authenticity. The version of yourself that exists in private when no one is watching is the truest reflection of who you are. By embracing this authenticity, you stop performing for others and start living for yourself. You honor your values, your passions, and your voice. This alignment between inner truth and outward action generates a sense of empowerment that cannot be taken away. When the other me is unleashed, you move through life with clarity, confidence, and a resilience that attracts opportunities and relationships that resonate with your true self. Finally, unleashing the other me means realizing that your potential is already within you. It is not something you need to search for externally. It has always existed, quietly waiting for you to acknowledge it. Every struggle endured, every lesson learned, and every small victory in private has been preparing you to step into your full power. By unleashing this me, you stop hiding your capabilities and start living with purpose and impact. The other me is unstoppable, fearless, and unapologetically real. And when it is set free, it transforms not only your life, but also the lives of those around you. It is the key to becoming the person you were always meant to be.